Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Empires and Puzzles. And of course, a new day has brought us a new portal. This time around, they went with the Shadow Summon again. So we have our Insanity characters here. And honestly, this portal's released a new one and a new ability as well. We will be looking at Fear for the first time. I did see a preview of this on the test servers, so I have somewhat an idea of how it works, but this will be the first time we get to go through it together. So let's go ahead and take a look at everything going on here. So first things first, this is going to be Kadath. Um, he looks like some sort of like necromancer type person, but let's take a look. He is the wizard class, so he has a chance to do extra damage on his specials. Those are fun. Family, he is part of the Forsaken family. Just a reminder of what the Forsaken family bonus includes. It will be a bonus for 1, 2, or 3 heroes with 15, 20%, and 30% critical chance increase, and 20, 30, and 40% health increase. So this guy, if you stack enough of them, gets a pretty decent amount of crit bonus, but all by his lonesome, he'd be rocking a 15% increase in critical. But I think the 20% increase in health naturally is a much better bonus. That's pretty cool. All right, down here in the passives department, we have Branded by the Old God. All damage from normal attacks and special skills dealt by this character is increased by 5% per 10 insanity the character has, up to 50%. So this guy does have a chance to do even more damage based off the amount of insanity he has. That's a bit of a double-edged sword, though, right? Because in order to gain insanity, he's probably put insanity on himself from his last special, and then he has a good chance of doing an additional stronger hit versus your own team, as opposed to just them. So insanity has always been a bit of a wild card, not really my favorite concept, but they are some interesting heroes. All right, Aether Department, we do have Bulwark. So Bulwark is going to give him that 15% defense across the board for the first 6 turns, and then each additional time he takes damage, he gets an additional 1% increase to his defense, up to a maximum of 25. Honestly, this is pretty much the exact same as defense up. It just requires him to take some hits to get past the benefit of the regular defense up. But anyway, whatever. Moving on, still cool, gives him extra survivability. Down here in the specials department, we get Cult of Arachnid. Okay. Operating at fast speed, it's going to say the target succumbs to fear for 3 turns. Well, what is fear, right? Let's click on this little additional info box. It says the target gets negative 35% defense, removes all dispellable buffs and growth effects when the fear status effect is added. The target cannot gain new buffs or growth effects for the duration. The target with fear deals 130% damage to a random ally each time another ally casts their special skill. Each character can trigger this effect once per turn. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there, right? Fear is a bit of a strange ability. So it's going to be a defense down. It's going to be a dispel that also gets rid of growth effects. So defense down, dispel. It stops them from getting buffs, so it's not just a dispel, but it gives them buff immunity for a little while, and growth immunity for that matter. And then also, it creates like a weird sort of effect that punishes them for using special skills on their team as long as characters that they have fear. So, interesting. Okay, well, that's definitely fun. And then it says deals 570% damage to the target, and inflicts 50 insanity on them. Okay, so that's a pretty good amount of insanity, honestly. And then, if the target is defeated by the attack, the nearby enemies succumb to fear for 3 turns. Okay. And then inflicts 45 insanity on the caster. Wow. Lots to sort of unpack here, but let's get into the good and the bad. Why is this character going to be good? What's the downsides, etc., etc.? Okay. So, first of all, let's go with the glaring problem. He's an insanity character. And there are just as many times that these guys end up shooting themselves in the foot as they do help you. So, like, you just got to be wary of that whenever you're using insanity, that it could be your own demise. But as insanity characters go, I'm not sure that this guy is a bad special. So, for example, he is doing a priority dispel with fear. It doesn't say dispel, but that's what it is. It's a priority dispel, right? That's also giving them a defense down before, mind you, before he does a 570% hit at fast speed. Given that this guy is just shy of 1900 attack power, this is going to be a very strong hit with them not having any defensive buffs left, right? Because the fear is going to wipe all of that out. And then he's going to slam them. And if for whatever reason you get a kill shot, like let's say he does whack him to death, he instead is going to cast fear on the nearby allies. So instead of getting fear on a single target out of this special, you could end up getting it on 2. Now, the insanity will only be on the initial target, so you're most likely either leaving them really hurt with 50 insanity, possibly unable to heal themselves. Like I know in my mind, I would straight up be targeting their healer, because most likely they probably have 1. You can almost kill the healer, if not kill the healer. And if you do leave the healer alive, you can leave them with 50 insanity, so that hopefully if they do try to heal, it won't work. Like, I think he's very good in that aspect of things, especially operating at fast speed. He's likely going off before they do. But yeah, then he inflicts 45 insanity on himself. So another nice thing about this is he is inflicting more insanity on the opposing team than on himself. I mean, it's pretty negligible, right? 50 to the opposing team, 45 to himself. But at least he is doing more to their team than to himself. I like the fear effect. I like that the fear effect may end up traveling to the nearby as well if you can get a kill shot in. I think this guy does have the ability to do some crowd control, but he's going to have that downside of 45 insanity the next time he tries to cast his special. You can control that a bit by trying to heal some off before you use this guy again, but in reality, it is always a gamble with insanity heroes. So where do we rate this guy on a scale of 1 to 10? I am going to go ahead and give him an 8. I end up putting a lot of the insanity heroes at a standard 7 because I don't like their downsides. I don't like his downside either, but I think the way that he can work his fear effects into play is going to be extremely useful. It does require you to think about it a bit, right? You have to be a smart player when you're using him, but if you utilize him correctly, you can really end up disrupting the whole flow of your opposing team, and really that's how you win fights, right? You can just destroy the designed intention of how the other team works, and then you just bust right through the cracks you create and get your victories. So yeah, I'm gonna give this guy an 8 out of 10. Grats if you pull him. I do love hearing feedback from players that do pull these guys and are using them a bit, or just your thoughts on it as well. So you're welcome to sort of communicate about that. And again, if you like what I do, go ahead and click that little button at the bottom right of the screen. That will subscribe you to the channel so you don't have to find me later. I haven't really been plugging that before, but I've noticed I'm having a bit of a drop off in new subscribers. I think it's because I mostly advertise in the same places every day, so that's on me. But anyway, I'd love to see myself get to 200 subscribers, so we'll see if we get there. All right, thank you so much, everyone. We'll catch you next time.